Later, the Norse god Loki asks Buddha by the fountain if the Valkyries have always been as strong as they were during the fight, and proposes a theory about a power called Sambuthana that can allow them to resist the gods. Buddha breaks his lollipop, and the 7 lucky gods appear, claiming to be arbiters of justice. Preparing to attack Buddha, Loki stops them but then joins their side. Buddha states that if they want to fight, they should hurry and release his aura, putting pressure on the gods. Kajiro helps Buddha while stating that he doesn't approve of ganging up on others. Suddenly, Soji and Asami also join the fight to help Buddha, despite being outnumbered by the gods. During a face-off between Buddha, Kajiro, and swordsman against Loki and the 7 lucky gods, Abisu shoots at Buddha but misses. Loki attacks with chain blades, but Asami deflects, and Soji manages to close in, but Zeus and Odin intervene. Fugen and Munin remark that fighting without permission is absurd. Odin ends the fight with an aura blast that shatters the gardens. Blast Dome Loki forfeits after sneezing, and the lucky gods warn Buddha about the traitors. As they leave, Soji and Asami also decide to return to their room. Kajiro apologizes to Buddha, and Zeus advises him to avoid trouble. Buddha laughs and says he answers only to himself. Gol and Brunhilde are choosing the next fighter. They visit a Japanese themed room and find the fighter asleep amidst naked women. Gol is wondering who he is, and Brunhilde is pointing out the Yakuzuna handprints on the walls. Brunhilde wakes up Raiden and informs them that it's his turn to fight. Gol realizes Raiden is the greatest sumo wrestler. Brunhilde then calls Thrud. The third Valkyrie, Thrud, bursts through the room's door as she is unable to fit. She wonders if Raiden is disappointed that she is a beast of a woman. However, Raiden is excited and hugs her, stating that big women are his thing. Thrud tells him not to joke, but Raiden states he never jokes. Seeing his serious look, Thrud softens up and blushes. Before the fight, Heimdall proceeds to introduce the god's fighter and reveals that it's the god of destruction.
All maneuvers that were forbidden for him because of his incredible strength? At the east entrance, representing the humans in round 5 from Japan, Tameemon Raiden! Okay. Next up, entering from the west, representing the gods, taking on the unrivaled wrestler! He creates entire worlds and destroys them for his own amusement, only to rebuild and destroy them again! There can be no mistake! Representing the gods in round 5, from India!
Finally, it's my turn to play.
It's the final battle between God and man! Ragnarok round 5!
The destroyer himself, Shiva. Shiva's wife and son cheer for him as Raiden performs a sumo ceremony before their fight. Raiden dropkicks Shiva in the face, but Shiva stands, and the fight continues. Raiden lands a punch.
Buddy, you got a lot to learn.
But Shiva blocks it. However, Raiden immediately follows it with a Russian hook and punches Shiva, causing him to fall on his knees. He grabs Shiva's head, intending to finish the fight, and knees him in the face. However, Shiva blocks the hit and punches him in the chest, sending him flying. Shiva expressed his desire to keep enjoying this fight while Raiden took a more serious pose. In Konnono Province, Japan, January 2017, a baby named Tarokiki Seiki was born, but his muscles were too powerful to be handled. And as a result, his bones broke while attempting to walk for the first time. He persevered and eventually developed a new set of muscles known as the 100 Seals. To counteract the old ones, Raiden unleashes the 100 Seals, causing his muscles to go wild to bring them under control.
Seriously? After all that, you're going to self-destruct?
Rude! I'm counting on you!
He managed to throttle them into submission! For that is the Bolender of Tameemon Raiden. We're about to witness Raiden, the man with the strongest muscles in the history of the world.
Raiden calls Thud and activates his supermuscular exoskeletal sumo belt. The Volender Brunhilde explains that Raiden's muscles develop abnormally fast, and he can barely control them without the 100 Seals. Raiden warns Shiva of the potential danger and attacks him with a Kiku Ikamanji strike. Shiva survives Raiden's attack and counters with a barrage of cannon-like punches. Raiden falls to his knees but then crushes Shiva's arm. Shiva retaliates, but Raiden dodges and lands several punches. However, Shiva's punches become heavier.
You've got skills.
But so do I! Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on! Come on! They seem to be strong as cannonballs.
And they begin a headbutting exchange. Shiva reminisces about his time with Rudra as the fight intensifies. In the past, the Indian Pantheon was a disorganized collection of thousands of gods vying for power, with no one ruling over them all. Two relatively unknown gods, Rudra and Shiva, lived on Mount Kailash. Rudra trains by punching a boulder, while Shiva dances with animals. When two other gods asked for their help in defeating the Ashura Butcher brothers in a nearby village, Shiva was indifferent, but Rudra convinced him to come along. After defeating the Ashura Butcher brothers, Shiva and Rudra discuss their dreams and aspirations. Shiva apologizes for being a second-rate god to Shamba, while Rudra expresses his desire to become the greatest god in India and see sights no one else has seen. Shiva initially isn't interested in joining Rudra but ultimately decides to go with him as everything he does with Rudra is interesting and Rudra is unwavering in his decisions. Shiva and Rudra defeated 1,115 gods to reach the pinnacle of Indian Pantheon. Rudra challenges Shiva to a fight to see who is stronger. Despite Shiva's reluctance, he agrees, knowing that Rudra won't change his mind. The two engage in a fierce battle for days, with Rudra using all his strength to try and defeat Shiva. However, in the end, Shiva emerges victorious. Despite losing, Rudra is content with the fight and glad to have tested his strength against his friend. The two continue on their journey, bound by their unbreakable bond as gods and friends. Raiden reveals that he is enjoying the fight despite his injuries and thanks Shiva for showing him a new world of combat. Shiva and Raiden's fight continues, with Shiva's powerful dance moves overpowering Raiden's sumo techniques. Despite the clear advantage, Raiden manages to use his enlarged arms as a shield and surprises everyone with his resilience. Meanwhile, Shiva's body spontaneously combusts from his intense dancing. In a final move, Shiva lands a powerful kick on Raiden, but instead of falling, Raiden smiles while fighting.
What do you think? My dancing's pretty hot, huh?
Raiden's smile catches the attention of Tanakaze, who feels Raiden's happiness and fights with all his mind. When Tarakiki was 5 years old, he observed a group of children practicing sumo, and after defeating several of them, Toriji invited Tarakiki to fight despite Tarakichi's fragile body. He unexpectedly sent Toriji flying outside the ring. His exceptional strength earned him the nickname Ogre among the children. Tarakiki questions his mom about why the gods gave him such a body. His mother reminds him that she prayed for his strength and encouraged him to use it to help others. Tarakiki became known for his kindness and willingness to help by carrying heavy objects. When a natural disaster strikes his hometown of Shanada, Tarakiki leaves to become a sumo wrestler and earn money to send back home. Though hesitant to hurt opponents, he loses a match to Takakaze and becomes intrigued by the sport. Tarakiki begins non-stop training and finally learns to use his strength without causing harm. Tarakiki became Raiden Tameemon and dominated sumo with his strength, but he soon realized he was bullying weaker opponents and stopped using his best techniques. Despite this, he won 254 out of 285 bouts and became known as the unrivaled Drakes. Eventually, Raiden retired without ever using his full strength. Raiden decides to fight with all of his might against Shiva. Raiden unleashes a powerful open palm thrust on Shiva, blowing away 2 of his arms and sending him flying. Shiva stands up with only 1 arm left, and Raiden's attack breaks the sound barrier. However, the recoil of the attack causes Raiden's body to rip apart, but Thrud holds him together. Raiden tells Thrud to migrate his muscles even more, risking his life as a sumo wrestler. Shiva activates Stendava Koma and turns red as he burns up.
Get ready.
Well,
You're just a royal pain in the ass, aren't you? Fine, let's do this.
Those attacks will carbonize his body.
Oh no! Are you saying Raiden has no chance of winning?
Brunhilde compares Shiva and Raiden, stating that they both become stronger by carrying the hopes and dreams of others. Raiden and Shiva exchange blows in a fight that isn't favoring Raiden, as every time he blocks Shiva's attack, it burns his muscles. Shiva is more powerful than ever, but if he continues to stimulate himself to burn, he will burn himself up. Raiden manages to push Shiva away as the Indian gods see that Shiva is starting to crumble. Rodri yells at Shiva to not give up. However, Raiden sensed that the end was near and unleashed a final strike called Yadagrasu. Shiva intercepts the blow with Diva Loka, shattering Raiden's arm. Despite his defeat, Raiden expressed gratitude for the opportunity to fight with all his might and called for the release of Volander. Thrud refuses to leave him. Raiden says to her that he couldn't have asked for a better woman. Raiden accepts his defeat with no regrets and bids farewell to his loved ones before being beheaded by Shiva, who acknowledges him as a great man and thanks him for the greatest fight ever. Despite Shiva's win, Ares and Hermes have different opinions on how the fight would have ended. The sumo wrestlers honor Raiden by stomping their feet. After the intense fight, Shiva meets with Rudra and the Indian gods, and Zeus also arrives to acknowledge human strength. Meanwhile, Brunhilde mourns the loss of Raiden and adds a shrine for him, showing her emotional vulnerability. Zeus seeks out Buddha and asks him to fight in the sixth bout, but despite his reluctance, Buddha agrees and even hugs him. Gol overhears the Lucky Gods talking and is caught by Bishop Monton and the others, but Jack the Ripper appears, distracting them with his offer of tea. As the sixth bout approaches, Heimdall announces Buddha as the fighter for the gods. However, Buddha surprises everyone by positioning himself on the other side, declaring that he will fight for mankind, and threatening to kill any god who opposes him. The gods are angered by his declaration, setting the stage for a dramatic and high-stakes battle. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to get notified about our quality upload.